It was 2006, June 19th, and it was very early in the morning. I'd just come out the house. I stepped into the car. I put the keys in the ignition. I put a joint in my mouth. I turned the keys in the ignition, and then all of a sudden, men came from everywhere. Guns, don't move, get out, screaming, English, Maltese. And they obviously got me out the car, took the joint, and told me they wanted to go into the flat. They didn't show me any warrants, but when you've got a foreign police waving guns, I took them into the flat. It was on the plane, I sat there and I thought, I haven't seen this many people in years, like years. I come from a division of 17 men.
My mum stayed with the kids, so I had to check up. Actually bursted inside. Can't believe it.
I know, man. Didn't think I'd actually make it, you know. Going home, going back to Cardiff, I suppose, over the Severn Bridge, and that's been a hell of a long time since I went over that bridge. I mean, I told them, they said, you're growing cannabis somewhere. I didn't have any choice to do. I mean, I showed them, I said, yes, opened the door, and they saw the plants in the room and the lights. They seemed to be quite happy. They started coughing and spluttering like it was a chemical laboratory or something. They started ripping the covers down from the windows, trying to open the windows to try and get air, really pretending that it was toxic fumes almost, like, you know. And what did they find? Five 1 metre high plants and a few not even rooted clones on the floor, like, you know. They were even amazed by the setup. They said it was drug factory. They were all smiling and happy, and I can't even remember how many of them there was. It must have been 12, maybe more. They put me on a settee in handcuffs, and they were going about taking pictures of everything, photographing everything in situation. Photographs I'd never been able to see. There was some buds dried in a bit of newspaper. They said in the court it was ready for sale. That wasn't ready for sale. That was plants that had dried. I'd put them in there to see what the weight was, to see what we got from the plants, because it was mine and Barry's, so it would have been divided by 2, you know. So we saw how much it was costing us basically to save money to get our own weed, you know. They were jumping around and happy. The next thing I know, I heard a knock at the door, and I thought, oh, that's not someone now come for me, gonna walk right in the middle of all this. It wasn't. The door opened. They'd ordered pizza and Coke. They sat around my kitchen table, eating pizza, delivered pizza, and drinking Coca-Cola out of all my cups and glasses. And I turned around to them and I said, can I make a cup of coffee? No, where do you think you are? I said, well, I thought I was in my house, you know, but yeah, that's what they did. They celebrated with pizza and Coca-Cola on their major drug bust, like. I met Barry in 2005, and I was waiting outside the airport to meet my friend when I met a British guy next to me. I smelt something that connects people, you know. I think I told him, that smells nice, like, you know. And he said he was going back to Britain. We talked, he said, take this, you know, and smoke. And he said, when he comes back, give him a call and come and see what Gozo's like, because Gozo's a nice, quiet place. He knew that I left Britain for a peaceful life, for a quiet life. I phoned him. He said, come over to Gozo today, you know, and pick me up. So I met him at the ferry port. He's standing there, I can still imagine him there in glasses and as happy as a foreigner is in a sunshine land, you know. Took me around the island and we went for a rabbit lunch down the beach and beautiful day, you know. And he said, why don't you, there's a flat opposite. The prices in Malta, in Gozo, were much cheaper than Malta. It was beautiful, you know, it was a short walk, it was in Zabuj, short walk from the beach. Beautiful, beautiful place. And I thought, yeah, this might be nice, this might be what I'm looking for. So I went over to Gozo, packed everything up and went over to Gozo. We were smoking, we're smokers. One time he went to Malta to buy something, half a block or something like that, because there's two of us. You're not going to go to Malta every day, you go and buy something and make it last. Like you go and buy tins of beans, you don't buy one, you buy a few. So he went over there and got burned. They took the money and robbed him. So he came back upset, felt humiliated. So we sort of both said that we were fed up with having to put ourselves in situations where we were meeting people who were not just smokers, not into peace and love. They wanted money or, I don't know, fame, notoriety because of their drug dealers, gangsters. So we sort of said maybe we can grow a few plants and save ourselves that. We didn't really rush into it. We thought about it, we joked about it, we still bought a little bit here and there, and you were getting terrible block mixed with God knows what chemicals, you know, foul stuff. Still thinking in the back of the mind, I wonder if it's possible. And then we started talking a bit more seriously about it, how many we'd have to grow, how long it would take, where we'd do it. I mean, his family were in his house, so I said, you know, we'll put it in mine. And we started to grow. We normally grew 10 plants, so there'd be 5 each. You know, everybody thinks you get kilos and kilos and kilos off a few plants. It doesn't work out like that, you know. Maybe you get 30 grams off a plant, maybe you get 80 grams off a plant, but it's normally the lower end, you know. It would take, 3-4 months to grow and to get ready to dry and everything, so you're waiting 4 months. So whatever you make is gonna last another 3-4 months. So people think it's a huge amount or something. It's not, it's gonna last months, you know. To save the time a little bit and to not grow from seeds, you take cuttings off the plant, so you don't end up having to separate female and male. Now obviously, if you take 10 cuttings, the chance of 10 surviving is pretty low. You know, you're always going to lose some. So you take more. You see which plants come healthy, keep the healthy ones, and remove the bad ones. That time, when they caught me, I was caught with 26 clones. From those 26 clones, if they'd have looked, there was a small infestation, a bug infestation in the root itself. None of those plants would have grew. They were finished. They should have been in the bin. I was too lazy to throw them in the bin. They were gone. But even if that hadn't happened, we wouldn't have grown 26. We'd have cut it down to 10. We worked out that 5 for me, 5 for him was enough. That was enough to get us through, like, you know. We didn't need to sell it for money. We didn't need money. What do you need money for? What, to buy weed? You know, it's pointless, isn't it? You know, you got to sell it. I don't even want to give it away. That's the worst thing, like, you know. And I mean, what do? You go down the beach, you buy a pizza for a lira, you know. I mean, it was a cheap, nice life, you know. There was quality in living there until that day when everything changed. Apparently the same time that they raided me, they raided Barry. Now, I'm never going to be able to prove this, but in the car, I had 1 bud of marijuana, cannabis, and an Embassy No. 1 cigarette. I had that folded in a Yellow Pages piece of paper. That piece of paper, that cigarette and that joint turned up in Barry's house, and the only evidence they found in Barry's house was that and a light bulb. I've never been able to get a proper list of evidence taken from the flat. I've never been able to get photos of the evidence taken with the evidence number in situation. Even though I've asked lawyers, I've never been able to get it. I have got suspicions about it. I mean, Barry never smoked cigarettes. He smoked rollies. Embassy number 1 is a very particular brand. In Malta, in fact, you can't buy it in Gozo. You had to buy it in Bujibba. So it's a very uncanny coincidence. But like I say, it's been something that we've never been able to even look into, not let alone prove. We've never been able to look into it. Yeah, the last time I saw Barry, I think I'd left prison. I'd got bail in 2008. My dad had come over and guaranteed me so I could get out. And I think early the next year we were in court in Gozo, and I went to court, and I think he was still in prison, and he came with the prison officers to court, and I'd seen him. I couldn't do anything to get him out. I couldn't get him bail myself. I couldn't do anything, you know. How can you help someone when you can't help yourself? I knew he was in a bad situation. Even in prison, he didn't assimilate well. I know he had some family problems, you know, and they weigh heavy in prison. If you haven't got the support, it's heavy. He was almost convinced that was it. You know, we weren't getting out of prison. Even though I was on bail, I was still going to come back to prison. I hadn't seen him for a while. And in 2010, shortly after we had our indictments for 5 life sentences, I found out that he hung himself in Division 6. I mean, he was on so much medication that he should have been in a hospital wing, not the worst prison punishment block in the whole prison, you know. He wedged a bit of wood in an air vent and used carry bags, and between 12 and 2, when they locked the cells, he went in and killed himself. Whether he really wanted to follow through with it, or he thought that maybe someone had come along and you don't know, you know. He'd given up, you know, plus he'd been failed by the system, because the system is there to protect people from themselves as well as from others. It's there to protect people from themselves. When the officers, who are supposed to be trained in noticing things, when they see a person who's going downhill, 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 he's in a foreign prison, he's not making friends, he's not talking to other inmates, he's letting his own personal self deteriorate, they're supposed to be there to catch that and save that man from themselves. I know they could have prevented his death. I know they could have. I know they could have. A certain amount of blame has to fall on the officers, the psychologists, and everybody who's in place to catch those people and make sure that doesn't happen, especially because the medication they give people in there. Because if you're on Valiums, Largactil, Lorazepam, all these medications that they don't use in any other prisons, only in mental institutions, you know, like forensic wards of the prison, I would say the support services in prison are pretty much non-existent. I mean, they're going to say that that's not true. They're going to say that there's doctors and psychologists and counsellors and psychiatrists. There are, but do they do the job? Do they actually have contact with the prisoners that need to be? Or do they just tick the boxes, make it look like they're doing the job, and push the forms through so we have got them? Trees.
Are we going to take the photos?
Trees. I've already seen this green, you know, and I can't get over how many shades of green. You know, I just can't get over it, like, I can't get over it. I mean, it's very hard in prison to to think much, because if you start thinking, you dwell on things, and that can really pull you down. I mean, even if you're thinking about happy memories, that can drag you down. Welcome to Wales, that's the sign. I dreamt about throwing myself on the soil underneath it, like, you know. Now it feels slightly more real. You can't hide. You're not going to be hiding from this for a long time. It's a bucket.
Do you need a spade?
I need 2 hands to pick it up.
Drink cup.
Just drinking out of plastic cups. The business looks terrible, like, isn't it? Terrible, man. Terrible. Middle of the summer. He's got his arms up to here, mixing all the meat and all the pasta together. All his hair here. Cigarette ashtray, sweat ploughing in there, like. And I thought, that's dinner tonight. Yeah. When I was in one of the other divisions, you wouldn't have to walk into a cell. You'd smell it in the division. You'd smell it 8 o'clock in the morning after falling. You could see people falling over, basically, not even being able to stand up. I've seen people eating big bowls of soup during falling. The officers would see you, they'd see how many overdoses were going every day and people dropping like flies, and they really did anything, you know. I suppose this new director maybe is doing something, but the main problem, I think, is it's not men are always going to do something, or people are always going to do something to alter themselves from normality. So you have to try and give them positive things to do rather than negative things to do. If you give them no positive things, considering 80% of the prison population are drug users, it's obvious they're going to use drugs. And they will always find drugs. Even if you raided every cell every single day, they will still find drugs. It's better to give them something positive rather than negative. But it's easier to look the other way. There's nothing, I mean, the division I just left from was Division 5. It's a closed division. It's basically maximum security. You can't do anything, you can't go to school, you can't do anything. So you're just stuck there all day. You wake up, you have a coffee and a cigarette, you go back to bed and watch TV or play a video game, or me, I went to read. Maybe you go to the gym if you feel like the courage, because it's hard work to motivate yourself to get in the gym, to do something physical. I mean, there's no point. People don't even want to get out of bed, don't want to do anything. People are just waking up every day staring at each other. Sometimes you just sit around a table, nobody even talks, you're just staring at the walls. In there is a lot of people who are called drug mules, sort of people who are paid, they're probably in very desperate situations anyway, paid very little money to take somebody else's drugs into a different country for basically huge profit on the person who's running them. Now, in a lot of countries, they see that person as a victim. Malta doesn't recognise that. It doesn't at all. I'm not saying you let them walk out, but there was one boy, he was only 17 or 18, I think, when he was caught. Him and his friend were given 3 kilos of cocaine each, which they didn't even know what it was. They didn't even know how much it was. They were just given a bag and it was just sealed in there, you know. They got sentenced to 15 years each, you know. So I think the one boy, he was deaf. He served 11 years. All that time they took from him, but not tried to correct him or show him a different way. Just took the time from him. Took the time from him without giving him something in return. I understand we need prisons, we need control, but there has to be a two-sided thing, you know. You can't just lock people up. You have to try and improve them. Otherwise, what's the point in letting people back into society? If you're not going to try to reintegrate them back into a society that welcomes them as well and doesn't ostracise them, then there's no point in correctional facility. You may as well just call it a jail and put people on chains and get them to dig the street. And I mean, some of them, they still got the life sentence in Malta. I think 2 of the longest running prisoners. They've been there 31 years, 31 years. There were some boys, that's longer than they've been alive, How many people have they seen come and go and come and go? And there's no hope. There's no hope for them. I know it's strange because everybody says, we're going home. And it's home, but it's somewhere I've never been, and that's quite strange, that, isn't it? Somewhere where your family live, it's a family home, but you've never been there. So when people say you're going home, I am, but I've never been there. That's quite strange, Okay, this is home then. Okay. Oh, I can see myself. Okay. Yeah, man, there's all my family. Well, our family, but my family. Kids' toys everywhere. That's changed. That's going to be a new thing, isn't it? Okay, so this is your room.
That's my my office.
This is your room. Okay, there's a garden. Okay. Well, it's definitely nicer than my last place, isn't it? It's a hell of an improvement. The view's a lot better. My God, you can see trees out the window.
How do you feel?
Quite overwhelmed, can they, I can't imagine waking up and actually opening the curtain and looking outside and... Fucking hell, man.
What do you think? Do you like your house?
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it, It's strange because it's her house. I know it's my house, but it's not, and I forfeited all the rights to say anything. I realised a long time ago I can never say no to her, even the kids. How can I say no? There's nothing, is there? If they want to do this, I can't say I don't feel like it, I want to stay in, or I don't want to do that. It's going to be yes. I got 3 women. Do I take my shoes off?
It's your house, baby.
Okay. A house with 2 floors, huh? A bath, man. A toilet with a flushing. There's no bucket to flush a toilet. I've seen this one from the pictures. Too many pictures. These are all sent from prison, you see. These are the Playmobil. These are what we make in prison. Ah, here's a good one. Police. That's what they make us make. Police dolls in prison. That's got to do something for the man's psyche, innit? Making police dolls in prison. Every time you click them together, police. I mean, that's damaging to the psyche. I mean, we didn't have to, but obviously if you need money in prison, you've got to do a job. The only job that is on offer to grown men is to make these dolls. That's it. And they all come in pieces. So you make 2,000 of them at a time. So you end up with 2,000 of them, 2,000 of them, 2,000 of them, 2,000 of them, 4,000 arms, 2,000 of them. Then you have to put the bits together. So you put the legs on. You do 2,000 of them, click them together. Then you come to the bodies. You got to do that, make 2,000 of them. That's what does your hand in. Pressing on there or pressing there, that's what gives you the calluses. Some of them, this one's got a little pocket, they're probably falling out. Because to put these things on, it's hard, These ones, to get these legs in, you probably can't get them out. Because to push them in, you've got to put it down on the table and proper push it down. They click that hard to get in, For a doll like this, I think now it's €13 a thousand. So £26 for 2,000. But they give you 2,000, you take them back, they'd never weigh 2,000 because they've lost them, some of them, so they'd weigh less. Or they've taken them or something. But, so maybe you end up with £24, €24, something like that. But that'll take you 2-3 days to make, That'll take 12 hours a day working on your bed. Yeah, these are journals and diaries, and this probably isn't all of it, but this is a lot of the stuff I sent back, and the journals I kept every day from in there. writing every day. You know, this one's 13th of October 2015 to the 26th of March 2017. And some poems and daily bits I've wrote, daily diary entries. And yeah, just to let them know what I was doing really, and there and what was happening, and to keep a note of everything, you know. I was never allowed to give my side of the 12 years that have passed. So basically, the book is a witness statement from someone who's already been convicted and tried. But hopefully, it'll show people a different side to everything. I mean, there's so much that people just don't know about why we did things, who we are, how we went through court, 120 times to court. Most of them definitely. You turn up, definitely. You still got to pay for it at the end. You go there, the Maltese lawyer talks, you don't even understand what's going on. The prison, how we've coped and how others cope in there and how families have coped. You know, they've changed so much and things have changed, but still at the same time, things haven't changed. Yeah, I mean, I can tell them all, you know, all the authorities of Malta, that there is plenty of empty cells in that prison. If ever they need them for themselves, there is plenty of room for them. But I forgive them. I forgive them for everything they've done. Whether it's through their own ignorance, I would prefer to think it was ignorance rather than malevolence. I forgive them, I just don't want the same mistakes happening to other people, and more people like Barry being basically murdered, even though he killed himself. That's still murder, you know. You know, I just think we need to just find a different solution in the world for not only cannabis, but also every other crime. You know, we need a solution. People need to put their heads together and find a solution that works, because prison does not work. If it worked, crime would be down. Crime is not down. Crime is up, and prisons are booming. The business is booming. So we need to put our heads together and find a different solution, unless we're just going to admit that we want people in prison because it generates money, and then okay, the cards are on the table, and let's lock everybody up. Hey, beautiful. You got all scared then, didn't you, darling? Did you get? Hey, there's my great mum. Oh, you've been up there. I'm not leaving now. Never going again, you know. Never. Be careful, Welshman. Miss me? Oh, darling. Okay, little Blossom's very shy, you go. I know, I knew it'd always be hard with the little one, because we haven't spent much time together, you know. She's very shy, and she, Blossom.
Oh, yeah.
Even on the visits, you know.
Oh, look at that.
Can your room be with me?
Can my room be with you?
You can share with me when I...
I think I've already shared with you. Normally it's you're innocent until you're proven guilty. In there, and in Malta, we say you're guilty until they prove you're guilty. And it really is that bad, you know?
All our dreams, all our fears.
I am really looking forward to the time when I can next smoke cannabis. That time might be a while away because I've got responsibilities now with the children. I don't want them to see it, obviously, and not that there's anything wrong with it, but I don't want to influence them too much, you know. The wife doesn't. So it's going to have to be the right time. It's going to have to be the right moment. But, oh yeah, I've been waiting for that for a long, long time.
All the thoughts and dreams, feelings that I